Today, we're going to break down the anatomy of a true disaster. It's one of the most sobering, and honestly, one of the most important stories in modern history, the Bhopal gas tragedy.
To really get a sense of what we're talking about, just look at this number. Over 500,000 people exposed to a cloud of deadly poison gas, all in a single night. That's the staggering scale of the catastrophe we're diving into.
What happened in Bhopal, India on the night of December 2, 1984 isn't just known as a tragedy. It's remembered, for good reason, as the world's absolute worst industrial disaster.
So what was at the heart of all this? A single chemical, methyl isocyanate, or MIC for short. Now this stuff was a key ingredient for pesticides made at the local Union Carbide plant. But here's the thing, it's also incredibly volatile and just lethally toxic to people.
So how in the world did this happen? Well, this wasn't some sudden, out-of-the-blue explosion. No, this was more like a chain reaction, a ticking clock that started counting down while the entire city of Bhopal was sound asleep.
It all started with one seemingly small but absolutely critical error. Water got into a storage tank, tank E610, which was full of MIC. This set off a violent, runaway chemical reaction that generated a massive amount of heat. Inside that tank, the pressure and temperature just skyrocketed, way beyond any safe limit. And the safety systems? The ones designed for this exact scenario? They failed, one after another. And then, the inevitable happened. A huge cloud of toxic gas burst out of the tank and drifted silently over the city.
And here's where this cascade of failures becomes just chillingly clear. You see, the first line of defense was a refrigeration system. Its job was to keep the MIC cool and stable, but it had been shut down. Why? To save money. It was completely offline.
Okay, so what about the next safety measure? That was the gas scrubber, a device meant to neutralize any gas that might leak. But it was totally overwhelmed by the sheer force and the amount of gas pouring out, so it failed too.
And the last resort? The final failsafe was a flare tower, designed to burn off any gas that got past the scrubber. Well, guess what? It was also out of commission. 3 layers of safety, and all of them were completely useless when it mattered most. So the most important thing to understand here is this wasn't just one accident. It wasn't bad luck. It was the predictable, horrifying result of a complete and total system breakdown.
You can really break down the negligence into 3 layers. First, you had the technical failures. Shoddy maintenance and poor design. Then you had the safety failures, things like broken alarms and monitors that weren't working. But the real root of it all, that was management failure. A corporate culture that was obsessed with cutting costs, which led to poorly trained workers and, maybe worst of all, clear safety warnings that were just ignored, time and time again. And the result of all these failures was a price that wasn't paid by the company, but by the people of Bhopal. An entire city, its people, and its environment were poisoned, forever changed in a single night.
The numbers are just devastating. The immediate death toll was horrific, more than 3,000 people, but the real tragedy is in the long-term suffering. Over the years, that number climbed to over 15,000 as people died from chronic illnesses they developed because of the exposure.
And for the hundreds of thousands of survivors, it was just the start of a lifetime of pain. We're talking chronic lung diseases, severe eye damage, even blindness. And for the next generation, a heartbreaking spike in birth defects. The poison didn't just disappear. The environment there remains contaminated to this day.
Now, as absolutely horrific as it was, the Bhopal disaster became a brutal but necessary wake-up call for the entire world. It was a terrifying warning that completely reshaped industrial safety regulations everywhere. Which, of course, forces us to ask the most important question of all. Could this have been prevented? And the answer, without a shadow of a doubt, is yes.
This table really shows the direct legacy of the tragedy. You can draw a straight line from failure to prevention. Where Bhopal had safety systems that didn't work, modern rules now demand multiple, tested, redundant systems. Where they cut costs on maintenance, regulations now force companies to do strict, regular safety audits. Basically, for every single thing that went wrong in Bhopal, there's now a specific, preventative measure in place to stop it from happening again.
And that leaves us with one final, critical thought. The lessons from Bhopal are now written into safety manuals and laws all over the world. But the real challenge, the one that never goes away, is making sure that safety first is always treated as an absolute reality. and not just an empty slogan.